Hi, this is Jules Hare, and I'm excited to join you for another revolutionary conversation. My soul sister, mentor, and friend, Janelle Willette. Today, we are going to dive into unpacking jealousy. This is a really potent experience for all of us. We're going to make it something that we can utilize in our daily life. We'll give you some practices that you can look at so that we can all work on unpacking jealousy in all the ways it shows up, in all the forms, in all the situations, to be able to truly uncover it so that we can really make a big difference in the way that we live our world. Because if we can't see it, then we can't manage it. So go ahead and take it away, Janelle. I look forward to all the gold that comes from this conversation.
Yeah, this is a rich one because I think it comes with so many disguises. And I think that we'd be lying to ourselves if we didn't feel a little bit of shame around our own jealousy. And therefore, that makes it hard to really look at and be honest and earnest with saying, wow, there's some jealousy in me. So, what we want to do is unpack this and sort of open it up and almost like anatomically, like look at like what's it made of? Where did it arrive? And what were the ingredients, or what are those active ingredients that um, that are swirling inside of us that create these entanglements with our relationship, either with ourselves or other people, upon which we find ourselves inadvertently expressing this jealousy,
Mm.
right? Because sitting with jealousy is really a painful load for all of us to bear. Let's just be clear. Sitting with our own jealousy is a heavy load and a burden. It's a
And
burden.
I can attest to that too, Janelle, and thanks to some of the exercises that you've given me or questions that you sent me on a quest inwardly for. And that when you start digging, when I started digging, and I can only speak from my own experience, but I've already talked to other people who can resonate with that experience, so maybe this resonates for you as well. But when I go back to when I was a kid, for me, anything that I tried at and that I was good at, I kept doing that thing. So instead of working at the things that were really challenging for me, I would just follow the path of least resistance and excel at those things that I was really great at excelling at. And so in doing that, I made things easy for myself. And I could get the accolades and the attention and the love and all of the things that I was looking for as a kid. Uh, but what I realized is that in that process, as soon as I'd come across something that I wasn't good at, right, quote unquote, failed at, um, the feeling of like failure was so big. It was just, it hurt so much, especially heartbreak failure. That was like the most intense. And I remember going, oh, I do not want to feel that. I do not want to feel that. And so adapting my behavior so that I wouldn't feel that. And if I ever did, because of course we all come up against failure, I would get really bitter at myself. I would hold a lot of resentment towards myself for having not done it correctly, for not doing it right, for failing. And just like that bitterness, that resentment, I realized just built up over time, and it got corrosive to the point that that I could see somebody else doing something that I really wanted to do, and my bitterness and my resentment would turn into jealousy towards them. And just catching myself just as of recently and going, holy cow, like this is intense, and this is not what I want to be feeling. And this is not how I actually feel towards that person, but there's something in me that's that I need to acknowledge and getting to the root of that.
Yes, yes, yes. And that is that accumulated backwaters of what we haven't looked at and been courageous enough or available enough to visit. So imagine that the backwaters get so strong, they start gushing from behind. And then you have this innocent, beautiful conversation. And all of a sudden, they say something that triggers the gush of your backwaters of self resentment. Like when I had the chance to make the mark and to work on some aspect of myself, I didn't do it. I took the easy road. And now that feeling that I have with my own self is intolerable because I feel the regret, the internal regret. And instead of sitting with that internal regret and working on it and then creating a steadfast, renewed commitment to say, whoa, this is welling up because I'm not taking responsibility for my own self, for my own shortcoming, for my own projections. That accumulates and the backwaters come gushing through. And then when something happens great for somebody else, the swampy waters, backwaters gush out of you onto another person. And you then, of course, are sitting with the backwaters, right? That tainted part. It's like that little edge. Because when we don't take responsibility and we feel that resentment or regret, we want to lash out and lessen the goodness that someone else is experiencing.
Yeah, so that power that fuels competition. It fuels that energy of wanting to compete. It's almost like it pulls me into a space that I know isn't healthy. I know isn't where I want to go. It's not going to help, the evolution of humankind with my thoughts going there. But like you said, it's those backwaters. They've got such a huge back eddy to them, and that current and that undercurrent just pulls you along with it. It just keeps your mind spinning in that realm of jealousy, of bitterness, of resentment, and that's just because we're aware of it. Most people just see it as an envy or a jealousy.
Unless or until the self stops and is willing to recognize. Because the moment we stop our mind, we stop that spin. There's been a lot of propaganda and a lot of um, practices on mindset and all these things, and really, I think what they're pointing to is how to become the master of your mind. And so the key when all of that can just stop and pause is the moment we witness it and we're willing to tell ourselves the truth, no matter how it looks. It's not like you have to publicize it or have a conversation or discussion about it, especially with that other person, that you realize this is that person's been a catalyst of your backwaters, your shadow parts. And so in a way, they're your greatest teachers because they're the catalysts that bring up the backwaters for you to reveal and heal. So if we're daring and willing and courageous enough to tell ourselves the truth and know that that's our commitment in our own life, then after that conversation or later that day, you can sit with it and be with it and go, whoa, what part of that conversation do I need to look at? Because that wasn't a way of connecting with that person that really nourished friendship, relationship, trustworthiness. How did that person really feel? And then, if you're honest with yourself, how does it make you feel? Slimy, gnarly. ashamed, the part that we actually want to disown. And the more we want to disown or put in the background, the more that accumulates, and we actually deny our own self and then create an aspect that looks and sounds and appears to be on the up and up. And the more we deny ourselves, that disparity gets so separate that now we become like this puppet of happiness and joy and goodness. And this shadow is in the background, weaving itself in. And we've lost our capacity to orient and be at the helm of our own life.
And meanwhile, I know that you've said before, Janelle, that the truth is always there and it wants to set us free, right? It's right there. And, by me avoiding it, by you avoiding it, by, anybody listening, by avoiding that truth, by not saying to yourself, if I was to be honest with myself, fill in the blanks, right? If I was to be honest with myself, or when I'm honest with myself, this is true. And you're not saying it to anybody else, like you said, you're saying it to yourself so that you can actually just be with it and be with that, like, that makes you like nauseous. Like, oh my goodness, if I tell myself the truth, I am greedy, or I only think about, getting what I want, or like all of those pieces that start to come up that you recognize, you cringe at the thought of having inside of you. That those are the parts that need your attention, that need to be acknowledged as truth more than anything. Those are the parts that bring it all back together. Because I realized when I've been, mining this or cultivating this relationship with jealousy and where it's coming from and going to the root of it, that all of those kid versions of myself that didn't win the track and field meet, or didn't get the boy that she really wanted to go out with her, or didn't achieve that having my artwork on the wall in the office, whatever that thing was that I thought I was supposed to get that I assumed was a failure. I abandoned those parts of myself. I didn't like them and I jailed them away and went, oh, how could you behave like that? Or I was just so upset that those parts didn't achieve what I wanted them to achieve, that I separated them from the rest of me. I put them all in jail together, deep in my being. And when I went back and realized that, I was like, oh my goodness, like those are all wonderful parts of me that have been trapped now in time for a long time, just stuck there.
Right. And so the key is to shift perspective from telling ourselves the truth, because the moment after you tell yourself the truth, there's relief. Every single person I've ever worked with, including my own self, the moment I'm courageous enough to tell myself the truth, dust settles. There's a moment of equilibrium because I'm meeting myself. You're meeting life on life's terms. You're willing to see what's truly true and really real. And that earnestness allows a new perspective. And then, like a chess piece, you put that person, let's say it's Linda or George or Felix, and you see them and you see how jealous you are of them, and you put them like a chess piece in the center of your chessboard, and you go, you are my great catalyst. I'm giving you and myself the opportunity to overcome what's inside of me that's festering up that I've been unwilling to look at. And then you look at that chess piece, that person, that archetype, and you look at why, truly, like, tell myself the truth. Why am I feeling so jealous of this chess piece? Not the not the persona and the person, but what is it about that person that I can't look at in my own self? She's done the work. She's done this. She's gone to this. She's done her devotion. She's done her practice. I haven't. I want what she has, but I'm not willing to do the work. And I'm not willing to like roll up my sleeves and see my own darkness. She has. I want to take that from her. And it's like, oh, so actually, she's showing me, he's showing me my own laziness, my unwillingness, my lack of courage, my lack of wanting to show up for my own self. So the moment I tell myself the truth about that person, I can go, let me use him or her as an aspiration, as a pillar of aspiration. Wow, now I see it's time to roll up my sleeves and do what needs to be done and aspire. Let him or her inspire me to show up for myself. That person's showing me how I don't show up for myself. And when I show up for myself, I feel alive. I feel true to myself. I feel empowered and I feel grateful for that person.
I'm sure everybody listening can feel that huge difference. Even you just describing it there, Janelle, I could feel that in my whole body because everything shifts when we're willing to tell ourselves the truth.
Tell ourselves the truth. It's the one thing that has the potential to change everything. It's right there in front of us. It's always being offered. And yet, why don't we pick it up? And so we are here just illuminating a beautiful potential to alchemize a part of ourselves that we're not willing or courageous or know how to meet. Because it's all an internal game.
And I like what you mentioned earlier, Janelle, and I think it's a beautiful take home for everybody listening, is that opportunity to have the experience. And there might not be time for it in the middle of that day or conversation to really do much with it, but to take it home for later or for right before bed or for your meditation or prayer practice and just go, okay, what do I need to acknowledge about this? Whether it's jealousy or just anything that would be of benefit, to tell yourself the truth about. Like if I'm honest with myself and I'm telling myself the truth, this is true. And just sitting with it. If it makes you want to throw up, if it makes you like want to cringe, whatever it is, just being able to just be there and sit with it and acknowledge that truth. And I feel like if we all did that even just once a day, the world would be a better place.
And I think that we would all sleep better. We'd have more resilience and tolerance. We'd be more capable of healthy relationships, healthy communication.
Compassionate towards others and ourselves.
So if we want to see the world change, look in the mirror and make that change, drop by drop. Because even when we show up for ourselves, we feel different. Because you show up in the world and you come with that place like, I'm on a quest. I'm on a quest. I don't know what you're doing with your life, but I'm on a quest. You can always feel that when people are filled with purpose and they just impassion with their vision, with their inner quest orientation. They have focus, they have precision, they have that embodiment of showing up for themselves. And you can feel that undiluted strength of presence in them. Be that, because that's what will happen to your whole being. when you meet yourself.
I feel like that's the perfect way to end. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us in this revolutionary conversation. And Janelle, all those beautiful beads of wisdom and the experience of being able to share this conversation, being here with all of you listening, watching. All of these are on podcast style, but they're also on YouTube. We'd love if you followed us, if this is something that really resonates with you. We also host what we call the Golden Genius Mastermind, and that's every 2 weeks on a Wednesday. Community, growing, sharing, thriving in connection together. And we're just happy to be of service in whatever way we can. So please reach out to us, or if you have any ideas of any topics that you'd like covered, we are open to suggestions. And with that, I'll leave it up to you. If there's anything else you'd like to share, Janelle.
We're just dropping, instead of breadcrumbs, it's like golden nuggets. So if you feel any piece of this that has helped you or a friend, just continue to drop those golden nuggets on your path and share the wisdom and the gift that life offers.
And with that, we close. Thank you, and look forward to the next revolutionary conversation.